guys, welcome back to Just Rank Pod. We have a great website, justrankedpod.com, where you can see all of our socials in one nice little place. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm Jimmy. I'm your host this week. We got face-to-face with me. We got Joel, not Joel Dick, and we got Dick Shits over there. We're going to be talking about glam and hair metal power ballads this week. Every one of you that have come here and seen and hung out with us every week or bi-weekly in the beginning, thank you very much. I love hanging out with these guys. I love talking music with you guys. This is a cool episode. We got teaser over there. We got the 80s. 80s were fun. I mean, 80s were cool. We got the glam and the hair, and a lot of people think that, right? Crack cocaine. It's not good. Marion Barber. What was his name?
I don't know.
Marion Barry. Marion Barry.
Yeah. Thank you.
The Canadians know America better than we do.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's the education.
They're from Canada.
System.
They know more about us than we know about them. They're elusive.
Soccer.
We know about hotel rooms.
Right. So I mean, we're talking about 80s power ballads here. One of the cool things about the glam, the hair band, is it came way before the 80s. It started in the late 60s, early 70s. You got David Bowie, you got T-Rex, you got Gary Glitter. You know, you got a bunch of these bands that progressed into. What's that?
Voldemort.
We don't speak about him. You got all these bands that came before the 80s and the 80s. You got Twisted Sister and Poison, and they turned androgyny into a whole art form. You know, previous to that was those other bands. Then the power ballad came. I've messed up. The power ballad came, and MTV really exploded and turned this into what they call an art form, and then it imploded shortly after that. We got our best picks here, our favorite picks, popular picks, wherever we want to talk. That's pretty much my intro. Welcome to Just Rank Pod. We got Joe starting out with us today.
Oh God, starting with the best. It's all downhill from here.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Well, guys, just make it short and simple. I'm picking 4 Led Zeppelin songs.
I don't think it meets the criteria.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
We got the Dink rule.
They're loose guidelines.
All right. So, my favorite glam / hair power ballads is by Warrant. Andy Warhol Was Right. That's
Love that.
I think you're gonna see with most of my power ballads, they're not really talking about ladies for the most part. It's from their third and by far their best album, Dog Eat Dog, which got buried because it was at the very beginning of the 90s. They got buried with the transition of hair metal and grunge and all that stuff. But god damn, if you haven't listened to Warren's Dog Eat Dog album, it's from beginning to end. It's Janie Lane's masterpiece, man.
Yeah.
But Andy Warhol was right, meaning Andy Warhol's theory, which is everyone has 15 minutes of fame. The song is very depressing. It's about a kid who comes from a troubled background, essentially, and he's looking for someone to pay any kind of attention to him. And essentially what you kind of get from the song is he figures out, well, any attention is good attention, so he decides to use a gun and kill somebody. Right. And this is a song to that person, kind of. Right. It's again, it's not a happy song. It really isn't. But you know what? In the genre, when you think of glam hair bands, you think of chicks and sex and all that crap. This is not that. It was. I think probably Janie Lane's probably lyrical masterpiece. Yeah, it really was, man. He's telling a story, and he does that with a lot of the songs on his album. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know this about his album. But this song. I guess I like it because it's not your traditional ballad. It's not definitely your traditional glam hair power ballad, but it's definitely a song that has a ton of meaning, a ton of power behind it, and I think it's just well written. Like I said, it's coming from a perspective from a person who's done this terrible thing, and they're aware of it. But for them, it's an end justify the means, So, yeah.
No, it's a good pull. As soon as you said war, I figured you were going with Heaven, and that would be the likely choice for a lot of people, right? But
yeah, sure.
Or the mainstream one that everybody knows, right? But this is a good pull. Yeah,
What's cool about that album, Dog Eat Dog? I'm a huge fan of it because they were angry. There was the whole cherry pie thing. It should have been not cherry pie. It should have been this actual progressive kind of thought in songwriting, and it was going to be kind of a heavier album. And the powers that be stuck in and said, no, we need one more song. They went and wrote Cherry Pie in 15 minutes famously. And that became, that.
It's
and
their signature song.
Yeah.
You ask anybody, minus maybe Heaven, like I said, if you ask any regular person that doesn't even like this genre, if you ever heard of Warrant, they're going to say Cherry Pie.
Right.
Yeah.
And the album was supposed to be called Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Uncle Tom's Cabin is a great track.
That song is amazing, dude.
Yeah. Killer song, and his guitar teacher. Yeah. His guitar teacher wrote the opening part of that song. And it was supposed to be kind of their like real breakout to actual authentic songwriting outside of the industry. And they got screwed, and they became kind of a laughing stock. And so I love this pick.
Right? Like it's a
I love this pick. Dog Eat Dog is fucking amazing. It's a great album.
Yeah, it's kind of them unleashed and doing what they want to do. You can tell because it's a lot of there's no tropes. There's not the traditional '90s tropes. It's actually a great bridge between the older '80s style rock and newer. It's a great bridge. It's weird to say this, even to say this out loud, but there's one bridge band I consider the bridge between glam and metal and grunge, and that would be Mother Love Bone. The singular album of Dog Eat Dog kind of fits in that mold. It really does.
Kind of.
Yeah. And unfortunately, being Americans, and this is kind of an international podcast with you guys being Canadian and other people listening, this song kind of rings truer now today in America than any other day with gun violence, and not to get political. I'm just saying it's very true. Happens way too often here. But let's lighten this up a little bit. Number 3, maybe from a band you've never heard before. It's a band from LA again, in that transition caught in 89, 90. This is, I think, the album came out in 91. A band called Kick Tracy. Believe it or not, one of the better bands I've ever seen. The song is called Lost. It's just an acoustic, and lead singer Stephen Chirot. Again, they got caught in that transition between grunge and glam in 91 when the album was released, and kind of got lost in the mix. They kind of have a minor hit with their redo of Mrs. Robinson.
And No Rules. No Rules was part of the MTV kind of towards that time period video play.
But they got kind of lost in the mix in the whole transition. But I still listen to this album. The album No Rules, which is this the song Lost comes from, is very good. I still listen to it to this day. It's a great transition album. Very unapologetically glam. But I'll also, again, their songs are complex, and their songs, especially this song Lost, is not traditional power ballad, if you will. So
I don't remember the guitar player's name, but the guitar player was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I don't either. I should have it in my notes, but I really don't. But again, I saw him at old club in Minneapolis called Mirage. And they're, again, one of the better bands I've ever seen live. I mean, they're amazing live.
Great bathrooms.
If I would have been allowed there in 93, I probably could have seen them.
My second pick is a little more traditional, probably on somebody else's list in this group here. Is by Skid Row. The song is "Quicksand Jesus," which
love this song.
maybe the best song they've ever done. By far and away their best album. I mean, Slave the Grind is the album they were made to make. They famously made zero money off their first album. John Bon Jovi got every stipend from that album because he signed them. So part of the deal was he got all the royalties.
Cinderella.
And Cinderella. Yeah, this song is it's the second album. It's on their second album, Slave to the Grind, and like I said, it's Ashton Bach's vocal prowess is legendary, right? But I think his vocals on this song are by far probably his best of the bunch. I mean, he's up here, he's down here, he's using the power of his vocals. He's singing really high, singing really low, and it's so smooth, man. Another guy I think who's gotten lost over the time is Sebastian Bach's vocals, especially those first two albums, especially the second album, which I think is a masterpiece.
His new album is actually pretty good.
His new album, I was just going to say, he can still belt it out.
He's
another Canadian connection there. Sebastian, he was raised in Peterborough, where Dink and I met, actually.
Yeah.
Well,
his brother played part of the Bahamas.
What? His brother actually was a goalie, and actually was the Minnesota Wild property for a while. Played one game for the Wild. I think he let in like 6 fucking goals. Yeah, his brother was
yeah, Tampa Bay draft pick, but he played for the Petes. His last name is Bierk, right? Zach Bierk.
Yep.
I think he's a goalie coach, or he was for Ottawa or somebody. I don't know if he's still kicking around the league.
There's a cool Sebastian Bach Minneapolis connection. Before he was in Skid Row, there was a local Minneapolis band called Madam X with the drummer Roxy Petrucci from Vixen, later in Vixen. I don't remember her name, Jan something, the singer. There was as Vixen was a St. Paul band, and Sebastian Bach came and auditioned for Madam X, and he was actually in Madam X for like 9 months, and then left. Madam X broke up, and Vixen formed.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, I've heard of both of those bands actually, so which is cool.
Yeah, Madam X's big song was "You're High in High School."
Those deep lyrics.
Yep. Bass player's name was Godzilla.
Was it really?
Yeah,
I don't remember that. Number one song for me is, I think, the quintessential power ballad of all ballads. It's by Tesla, and it's simply called "Love Song." This song is from their second album, The Great Radio Controversy. And is there a better power ballad? I mean, the song starts out nice and slow. It's got the big giant solo that every time hits it live. I've seen Tesla probably more than any other band.
Really?
14, at least 14 times.
Wow. I mean, that's Frank that plays the intro, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there are times, I think there was a couple of years where I saw them 3 times, because they come through Minnesota quite often. I think a couple of years I saw them 3 times in 1 year. So, I mean,
I saw them 3 nights in a row.
There you go. I mean, and they're still just as good today as they were back then, man.
They're so good. Like,
I miss Tommy Skio, though.
Yep. And the good news is they're friends with Tommy again. So, I mean, he's not back in the band. Obviously, Dave Root is still taking his place, but they're all those ties have been mended and everything else. They're friends again. But yeah, but Tesla's Love Song has always been that quintessential. Whenever I hear it to this day, like I said, especially live, I still get goosebumps.
Yeah, I'm with you. You may or may not hear it on my list as
well. I only have one honorable mention, and it's every other Tesla ballad. I'm talking about The Way It Is, Paradise Changes,
Get What You Get,
My Eyes, Song and Emotion, which is obviously about Stephen Clark.
Song and Emotion is a beautiful song.
Yeah. That's my number 5. I don't know how. I mean, I try to get that in there. Song and Emotion to this day is again, it's a song that has a lot of emotion, but obviously if you don't know, Tesla and Def Leppard are best of friends.
Phil produced their album in 2018.
Yep, that's true. Yep.
Yeah.
And so when Steve Clark died, it affected not only obviously Def Leppard, it affected Tesla too, because they're all best friends, but it's a very good song. Again, you also got So Defined, you got What You Give. I mean, they just keep all their songs are traditional ballads. As if you think about 80s hair ballads, it's not like Every Rose Has Its Thorn. They all have their own very big musicality to every one of them, and they're not traditional meanings. I mean, Tesla's never been one
is so good. Like
it's so good, man. The guy's, I don't know, Jeff Keith was what, 63, 64?
Just so good.
And we saw him this last year, and he still sounds, I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they're a hardworking band. They're still doing it. If you listen to their newer stuff, like Simplicity from 2014 and their last album with
Shock, like
Shock to Phil produced from Def Leppard.
Yeah, so good.
Great stuff. They haven't lost.
I wasn't a fan of Shock. I wasn't a fan.
I loved it.
Me too.
I bought the vinyl and I hadn't heard anything on it. I listened and it was all right. It was good, but it wasn't.
It's got a Phil feel though too, right?
Oh, it's got a Def Leppard feel to it. Yeah, totally does.
Yeah,
but even like I was gonna say, even like 2004 Into the Now, which is the original the original lineup, it's got lost in the mix it's 2004. Right by then, hair band. I hate to call them a hair band because they're not a hair band, but that era was completely done, and that album is amazing from beginning to finish.
Yeah, but if you weren't a huge fan like yourself, they totally lost the mix. People will be like, Tesla has new material since the
They're one of the few bands. And admittedly, too, when you listen to an old band, their new stuff isn't quite as good all the time. I don't know, man. They still pump out the good songs, man.
Yeah, for me, it's his voice, right? His voice is just killer.
Yeah.
Oh, for me, it's the guitars. I mean,
all of it.
Frank Hannon is just amazing. And again, I mentioned Tommy Skeoch earlier, but just Frank Hannon has that feel, and he knows how to put an emotion to a guitar, which not a lot of guitar players can do. And he does it with ease, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and you probably have like Anna too, he's your quintessential pocket drummer. You know what I'm saying? He's not doing anything special, but he's just got the right beat for every song. He's the Ringo of the band.
But I mean, in respect to Troy, he's not a pocket drummer. If you listen to anything he's doing more than playing to the song.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Troy Luccketta.
It was funny last year, the year before. Well, not funny, but at a backyard party, and there was 10 or 15 of us around the fire. And I rarely let anyone control the music.
I'm
hard to believe. I don't know if I can believe that.
But it was at that point where I was so messed up and we were having such a good time. And I'm like, and my list had kind of run out, which I was surprised. And I said, hey, what do you guys want to hear? And like, you get some really weird suggestions, right? And then one friend of mine, she goes, hey, can you play Paradise by Tesla? I was like, oh, yes. Absolutely.
Dude.
And then of course my wife was like, what is this? She doesn't know it, right? I'm like, this is gold. This is the best request ever, because it's usually something like, I'm not fucking playing that, come
on. But they get a lot of songs like that. I mean, it changes up, the same thing. That song has got a lot of deep meaning, and it's not your traditional ballad, but in the sense of the word, it's a ballad.
Mm-hmm.
That's my picks.
Those are great picks. A very warm blanket with the honorable mentions, but I get it. If you love the band, everything by them.
I mean, when I think of the ballads I like, it's Tesla.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
What you got, Chris? You're next.
So
me.
Me.
Hey, hi guys.
I had a bit of an issue just because this is a genre that I haven't listened to in years. Really, I just, for some reason, got away from it. Didn't go back to it, so I had to relearn the songs or re-listen to the songs or remember the songs. Anyways, my number 4 is "I Remember You" by Skid Row, and mainly because my first memory of the song is being at a school dance, and I don't remember how I didn't get Skid Row until I heard it at a school dance and had to ask a friend of mine, "Who the fuck is this?" Because I had no idea who it was.
Right.
It was kind of late, I guess, for the party. I don't remember the year. I don't remember where what grade I was in. I just remember being in that area and thinking, I don't know this song. What is this? And then that's when I fell in love with Skid Row and Sebastian Bach and his voice. Yeah. So 89, that was 89.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Right. So, and then number 3, again, like I said, I had to go back and re-listen to a lot of this stuff, and I forgot how much I liked the album that Great White did, and Save Your Love was a huge song that I listened to a lot.
Quite Shy, yeah.
That album in general, actually, now that when I went back and listened to it, I forgot there's a bunch of songs on there that I liked. I wasn't, again, not a huge fan of the genre, but that was also, when you said MTV earlier, much music genre for sure, for me, for sure. A lot of the music I was listening to at the time was being played on there, and I remember their videos, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, and all those videos being played on there. And for some reason that
song,
right, but like it's part of that. Yes.
Oh, for sure, Chris. Much music like we talked about before when I had the T-shirt on for Power Hour. They weren't playing those metal songs in regular rotation in order to get those bands in. They were playing their ballads.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear all the, and then it became popular with everybody, not just people that liked that style of music. So
the crusty love songs.
But then when I went back and listened to it, I'm like, I just really like the way his voice is in that song. So
yeah.
Jack's got a great voice. Russell. Yeah.
And Save Your Love is one of their few hits that wasn't original. Most of their hits were all copies or remakes or whatever you want to call them, but Save Your Love was actually original.
Or covers or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And then my number 2 is, again, because I love the band and I love his voice so much, is This Love by Whitesnake.
Nice.
I'm a big Coverdale fan. Even though I can't understand Coverdale when he talks in interviews, his fucking voice when he sings is unbelievable to me. I just love the raspiness of it, and I don't know. I just love Whitesnake a lot. I love that album a lot. One of those things that I used to fall asleep to at night when I was a kid, when I was younger. Yeah.
And Chris, do you remember in the early downloading days when you and Ian and I, we stumbled upon that stripped down version?
Yes. And then he'd be like talking in between the songs. You're like, man.
Right. But it's so good, right? Like,
and then he would start singing, and it was amazing.
He's almost talking, right? Should have known better. Let you go.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, this is
fucking would be perfect. Like, absolutely. I would think that some of the acoustic, I love more than the original version.
Me too.
And then he would talk in between the songs, and I couldn't understand a fucking word. And then he would sing, and it was so fucking beautiful when he would sing. I'm like, oh my God, how is that even possible? Right?
That guitar solo on that song, I think, is one of the most beautiful guitar solos ever. Just John Sykes. I'm a huge John Sykes fan. I think we talked about it last episode.
Yeah,
huge John Sykes fan, and he was able to pull feeling out of an emotion out of that song, and to this day, I will actually just fast forward to the solo, and
nice.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, that album, that whole album, Whitesnake, was fucking amazing. There's so much,
right? It's so big, and that crossover.
That is an album I could listen to
every crowd of people, right? Like, it didn't matter if you weren't a rocker; they were listening to Whitesnake too. It's like nice,
yeah. I know lots of people at that time were, especially that song. Especially that song.
Yeah, rest in peace, John Sykes.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
And Tawny Katan.
So,
Oh, was that a shoe?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. She threw a baseball
Well, and
bat
again,
at
like
Chuck,
I
or
said
what?
before, Much Music was a big influence for me then, and that's that song and that album. A lot of the videos were on, and
Oh
that's how I
yeah,
was
they were a big
listening to
video
Much
band.
Music.
Mhm.
Big time.
Well,
So-
I can tell you that Jaguar scene was quite the influence on me as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All of us at that age. Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of influence on me.
Right.
I'm sorry. What?
It was witchcraft, if you know what I mean.
I'm not into politics, but
Or yeah.
All right, my number one is I don't even know what to say. So it's pretty personal for me. I don't want to bring it down, but so a friend of mine got killed in a car accident when I was in school, and they did a memorial at our high school, and they played this song because he liked it a lot. It was Cinderella. I don't know what you got till it's gone. So honestly, I couldn't listen to after that. I couldn't listen to that song for years, probably 10 years before I listened to that song again, just because how much it affected me. But listening to these songs and listening to Cinderella and realizing how much I love Cinderella, there's a lot of songs by them that I like. I had to put this song as number one just because of the, because of the emotional, background.
Totally
It's a great
A
album.
great song,
and
and
it's a great song, and it's a really good album.
Yeah, the
it's a
album's
great
amazing.
album, and again, a big video, right?
Yeah.
100. Yeah, again, it's that video era, and it's all that thing, and all that stuff. But mainly for me, it's a remembrance of a friend of mine that passed away way too soon, and it was played as memorial. And
Oh, it's wild.
it took me years to get over to be able to hear that song again. Just years. I don't even remember how long, but
And there's
anyways.
the power of music too, right?
Right.
In a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you.
Very much so.
And he was our age, Chris?
It was like I was in high school and he was killed in a drunk driving accident at a party that I was at that he left and was trying to go back to.
And
That
friends,
makes it
was
hard
he
too,
friends with
yeah.
all the rest of our gang, or
No, it was actually when I was younger, and it was so when I went into high school and I was in like grade 9 and 10, I'd been playing hockey, but I'd also been racing motorcycles and dirt bikes at the time. So I was hanging out with an older group of people. So he was a couple years older than us, but he was one of those guys that had a motorcycle or ATV, and like we'd like go riding all the time and hang out and stuff. And he had his license earlier than us, and he'd get his parents' Ford Escort and fucking drive us around.
Right?
Yeah. So one of those guys. Before I would hang out with Todd and Jeff and them. It was all before that.
Right.
So grade 10-ish, I'd say. Yeah.
Well, that's the time of the Ford Escort.
Yes. Yes.
You're right. It was. Yeah.
Didn't mean to bring it down, but
no, I'll bring it up. You know those at Christmas time, those memes that come up.
Yeah.
This isn't the Escort that I asked for Christmas.
Yeah,
It's like a picture of the Ford Escort.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's great. Anyways, that's my list. Oh, and my honorable mention was I had a couple. When I went back, and again, like I said, I had to go back and remember how much these bands and songs actually meant to me. I had Kix, Don't Close Your Eyes.
Oh, nice.
Right? And probably the only song by them that I could name you off the top of my head.
Oh, dude,
I'm not a Kix fan, and that song struck a chord.
I've had this exact same conversation with another buddy on one of those trivia nights.
Really?
He played a Kix song, and I didn't know what it was. He goes, "Dang, come on, for all this stuff, you don't know this." And I said, and then he told me, I was like, "Aye." And he goes, "Yeah, that's not their only fucking song, man. They're so good."
Yeah, but I'm the same way.
Whoa, ring around bad girls.
So really quickly, I had that, and I had House of Pain by Faster Pussycat.
Nice.
Joe's a big Faster Pussycat fan.
Yeah,
I was a big Faster Pussycat fan. Again, one of my Columbia House purchases.
Guys, we keep mentioning them. I don't think they're around. We can't get sponsored by them.
I know. Fucking Is BMG?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I was just gonna say BMG.
It's nostalgia. It's the nostalgia. That's what it is, right?
It is nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm a big Pussycat fan, so yeah, man, that's a great song. Again, that's your.
I was actually
traditional
kind of
ballad.
shocked that you didn't have that on your list.
Again, dude, there were songs that came on and off my list, and there was actually a different Pussycat song that was on that list for a little bit. And yeah, no,
I had a hard time with the Glam ballads because one, like I said, I hadn't listened to them in years, and then when I went back and listened, like, fuck, there's a lot of shit I used to listen to I really like.
yeah.
Again, like I totally had for I don't know years just ignored it for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just move on, or you end up getting your little silos of what you listen to, and some things get lost in the wayside.
Yeah. But anyways, that's my
show. The show. I mean, you guys. I learned new things from you guys. I end up getting into new bands I haven't heard before. Like,
I love this. I love this part of it. Right?
Or I'm reminded of things I loved that, like you said, fell off my radar. They're like, oh, I love this song. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because you're like silos or tunnel vision. You're like, just listen to this.
Right. Well, there's also in that time frame there was a stigma to power ballads. You know, that was chick music or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Even if you were a rocker, you weren't allowed to like those by the same band you were allowed to like.
Dumb rules back then.
I love Whitesnake so much, but I'm not going to listen to "Here I Go Again," whatever 12 versions they have.
Right.
Fucking dumb.
Or do you remember seeing like the house "Here You Go Again" would start off slow, and you would watch people at a high school dance start to dance to it because they didn't know the song, knowing that it would pick up later, and then they didn't know what to do. Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway,
that was a good list.
That's my list,
nice list,
and
man.
I forget who's next. Yeah, Dink, are you next?
I am next.
Dink.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Dink.
Dink
so
is
I
next.
have a couple of repeat bands.
Ooh.
A
tease, if you will.
A little tease. Now we have to do that every show, like Dev Leppard.
It's be a recurring thing in every episode to try to keep track.
Okay, so my number 4 is, and this is arguably, it's like, I love a ton of these songs, so this could have been higher.
Bringing on the Heartbreak.
No, this is the Angel Song by Great White.
I love that song.
Love the piano in that song. I think Jack's voice is awesome in that song. I had Twice Shy, obviously the album, and I had this on single. Did you guys have any cassette singles?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I remember the single.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like overkill. I'm like, I think I bought the single first, and I was like, oh shit, you gotta get the whole album though. That's all good, right? Because I hear more stuff from. And then I fell in love with Great White. Obviously, I really like their stuff. This poor band, and we don't really touch on it, gets a really bad rap, right, from what happened.
The fire you're talking about?
Yeah, the fire. You can blame, like, Jack got blamed, the band got blamed. Obviously, their manager took the hit, right, when the bar owners didn't take as much of a hit. Tragedy, right? Like,
right.
I will say this. I don't know if we've talked about it on another show. I don't think so. I will say this. For me, being disconnected and not living in the States or anywhere close to there and just liking the band, I was kind of like a car wreck, right? Kind of like, oh, wow. Mesmerized by the story. Like, it's awful that many people were injured and died. But it was informative for me. Like, if you don't know and you watch it at your own risk, the entire fire footage is on YouTube. It
was filmed.
Yeah, because there was a radio guy there filming for safety. Like, he was filming for the exact fucking reason that what happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. And of course, he gets out, and he was also charged or sued that he didn't help enough people or whatever. But it's horrible. Like, they get out, and then he goes around the side of the building, comes back, and they're all stacked in the doorway. Like, it's all, and then the thing's engulfed in 5 minutes, and all those people. Minus that I've watched a ton of documentaries. 1 or 2 of them lived. That was at the bottom of the pile of people. they were sheltered by all the bodies on top. Like it's just horrible.
Like 110 people passed. Like
100, I think.
Well,
just awful.
There
right?
was,
Go there
there was
for a
2
fun night.
exits that were blocked.
Yeah, go to a fun night, see a band, go to a bar, and that happens, right? Like that's not supposed to happen. But like I said, informative for me, since I've watched it, minus thinking about it, which I had to visualize it and actually see it. And now any place I am, all the time, I look for the exits, which I never did before. I never give a shit.
Welcome to my world, because
right. As a security guy, for sure.
Yeah.
But it used to be like I would be the guy. Probably I don't like being right up front, but I probably would have been in somewhere. I don't want to be at the back, somewhere in the middle, and the front and middle was the problem getting out. Right, so now I'm always like wherever I am, no backs to the walls. Like would know where the exits are, and I don't want to get in too much into it, but the bouncers stop people from going out the doors and stuff. Like just horrible. And Jack Russell, the poor fucker who died last year. I love his voice. He did everything he could afterwards. Like they lost their guitarist. He went back in for his guitars.
They lost a couple of roadies too, I think.
Yeah, but their main guitarist went back in for his gear. He was out, went back in for his gear and perished.
Yeah.
And he didn't. Who in the hell it would ever want to do that on purpose? It wasn't malicious. It's just terrible.
It wasn't even them. It was their pyro guy who had no. Yeah, anyhow. Apparently, exactly 100 people died. 230 non-fatal injuries.
Right, building burnt down to the ground, but the grounds are a memory, like a whatchamacallit, memorial now.
Memorial Park,
yeah, and rightfully so, right? So I don't want to dwell on that too much. I love the band. Again, they get a bad rap. You list the Great White. I'm like, well, it's like we talked about, like artist personalities versus their art. Hold them fucking accountable. Like, I love Great White. Sorry. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, another song, because Chris had one before. Another song is actually a Great White original. I mean, I always rip on Great White because I've always called them America's most successful cover band.
I mean, it's kind of true.
So, I mean,
their first 3 albums are cover bands, or cover songs. Yeah.
So
and once Big Boy Shy is their probably the biggest song. And it's not there. So
we got 2 Great White songs, both of them being original. So I'm quite impressed.
Yeah. No, I just think the melody and the piano, his voice, to me, it really, like when I got it, I was like, whoa, like it really hit versus some of the other ones. So it could have been higher. But anyway, I'll move on. Speaking of piano and a repeat band, my number 3 is Cinderella Coming Home. I fucking love Long Cold Winter. Well, I love Night Songs too. I love those first 2 albums.
One of my favorite albums. Period.
Right. And I'm sure we're gonna do a Cinderella show at some point.
Yeah.
I have a feeling of that as well.
Yes. Cinderella.
Yes.
But yeah, Coming Home. I
know
Tom's voice between that low register and that screech higher register voice he does that cost him his voice. You know what I mean? Like, I just love that song. I love the lyrics. I love the meaning. Like, to me, it's my favorite Cinderella song. So that gives away if we ever do get to that show. So it was an easy pick here.
I saw them in the early 90s, whatever. And then I didn't see them again until, it must have been like 2017. We have a thing here in Minnesota. We used to have a thing here in Minnesota called Taste of Minnesota. It used to be held in St. Paul, and one year St. Paul was flooded, and so they had my little town of Waconia, and so hey, let's go to Taste of Minnesota because it's literally 1 mile from my house. And Cinderella's, or actually the Tom Kiefer band was playing. I'm like, come on, let's go see them, right? And thinking that guy's voice has got to be shot by now because he sounds like he's.
It was for a long time. I think it's kind of back
when we
now.
saw him, dude, he sounded exactly like he did back then, man. He sounded exactly.
Yeah, a bunch of surgeries.
Good God, yeah, he talked.
I think he had surgeries. Like
he did, but even to see him in 2017 and 2018, it's just having sounded exactly like it did on Long Cold Winter, man. It's amazing.
And that band, just like between their ballads and their harder stuff and their bluesy. Like they're just like they kind of for me like they looked like everybody else, but they stood out as far as their sound. I thought
Well, they
I think it was the blues influence, right?
Oh yeah, big time. In fact, when all the other glam bands or that era was kind of doing their thing, they kind of went a little more bluesy, and they kind of got knocked for it after a long winter on was it Hotel?
The third one,
Station.
Oh, Heartbreak Station.
Heartbreak Station, yeah.
They got a lot of break for it. I thought it was a good album, but they got a lot of flack for going bluesy.
Right.
Weird.
And take nothing away from your song, Chris. I know it's an emotional attachment. Still a great song. I think I bought the album probably for Gypsy Road or for Don't Know What You Got.
Right.
But Gypsy Road, I had it for Gypsy Road, yeah.
As soon as I listened to it all the way through, I was like, this is good. This is good. And when I got to Coming Home, like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
it's one of those albums that every song is a banger, man. Every one of them. I love that album.
Yeah.
Beginning and end.
Number 2 for me is a repeat song, and it's Don't You Worry, Philadelphia. It is a love song by Tesla. This could easily be number 1, and I'll explain why number 1 is number 1 when we get to it. And I've talked in other episodes about my favorite songs of all time, and I've only got to 20. But Tesla Love Song is going to be in the next 20. Like, I love it, right? It's so good. There's too many high school memories attached to that song between parties and girlfriends and buddies that kind of like we were talking about that would play it in their vehicle, and they weren't fans of this genre. They were more pop guys, but suddenly they're swaying over to hair because they like the ballads, which is the opposite of the hair guys. Like, why are you listening to that shit?
Right.
Put on something heavier, right?
So many rules back then.
So many rules, right? Like, who cares? Like what you like, right? But we weren't adults
so
enough
many
to just
fucking rules being a musician.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll just be secretive and won't tell you.
Yeah, just hide it. Yeah, exactly.
under the covers. What are you doing under there? Listening to Tesla.
I'm listening to ballads. I'm listening to power ballads.
Listening to ballads. What's it to you?
I remember hearing Tesla. I think it was Modern Day Cowboy on the radio, right, or whatever it was. And then that was the month I saw them for the first time. They opened up for Poison, and they looked nothing like the other bands because they didn't have the big hair and anything else. I'm like, they looked like a bunch of cowboys or something, right? I'm like, this band's so good, they're never going to make it because they just didn't have the work.
Yeah.
And that kind of almost holds true, right? Like, they're a little bit underrated in the scheme of.
They are.
You guys have seen them a lot, and obviously they've toured a lot. But I still think they're a little under the radar for.
They are.
Yeah. Anyway, that brings me to my number 1, and my number 1 kind of skirts the rules a little bit. It doesn't fall into glam. It falls into they had hair. It's more thrash. But my number 1 is Fade to Black from Metallica. Their forte into power ballads. This song is number 9 on my all-time favorite songs of all time. All time. I fucking love this song. Clearly my favorite Metallica song. I think James' voice sounds great. The guitar is great. Like just the different stages of the song. Of course, it makes Ride the, as much as they have great albums, if you like Metallica, it makes Ride the Lightning my favorite, just solely because of this song makes Ride the Lightning my favorite Metallica album by a nose over a couple other decent ones. But yeah, I love Fade to Black. There's not really much more I can say about it, or I have in my notes. I don't really have anything else other than just like pure awesome, right? And I think, Joe, maybe you can explain this. I know some other buddies that play guitar that this is a song that they're always playing when they're fiddling around.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it tricky? I don't know enough about playing guitar, or is it just something that they probably enjoy playing?
That's something easy you can just throw right out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I have a cool memory associated with that song. It's a more modern, again, downer memory, but growing up in that small town of Litchfield, we had a kind of a tight group of like 4 or 5 of us, and Eric, one of our friends, in the last handful of years, he passed away. He horrifically had a bad accident at work. So I went to my 30th high school reunion. I wasn't planning on going to the reunion. I was going to go to the funeral. And if you're from Minnesota, there's a lot of Lutherans. And I was Lutheran, and our friend Eric was Lutheran. And so we went to the funeral, and me and my buddies that we all grew up together, we were there, and the pastor said, we have a very odd request. Eric wanted this song played at his funeral, and the pastor said, after listening to the lyrics, I have no problem with playing this. And they played it at full volume in the church, and everyone, was walking out, and it was heartfelt, but it was actually one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had in my life. Being in a church, listening to Metallica for the reason of the song, and it was that's my weird moment. And again,
I totally like Chris's story. I totally can feel that, man. And I have songs I want played at my funeral. I don't know if my wife will honor that, but Dust in the Wind. Yeah. I don't know if we'll ever do our favorite songs of all time, so I'll just keep talking about mine because it's so hard to do that list. But Dust in the Wind is my favorite song of all time, and Wish You Were Here is second. I would like both those songs played at my funeral. I think my wife might play Wish You Were Here because it's her first or second favorite song. So she might throw that out because she wants to hear it. But she might be like, I'm not playing Dust in the Wind from fucking old school. You know what I mean? I'm like, because Will Ferrell almost ruined it.
Right.
I will say this: if we ever do favorite songs of all time, I'd have to have a caveat because mine would be favorite songs of all time, not including Prince songs, because otherwise my first 50 might be Prince songs, and then
No, it's such a hard. I truly mean this.
I'm gonna be against that list.
It's impossible to do it, and people think, how could you even consider narrowing it down? I'm like, well, these are the songs. It took forever.
Today it's these four. Tomorrow it's gonna be a different four, probably, right?
I totally
welcome back to hour 17 of Dink's list of greatest songs
and you
of
guys
all
are like,
time.
I don't know.
I
don't have any. I'll do another one.
Okay, can we take a break, have a nap, and come back in a couple of hours, and Dink will finish his list?
Right. But no,
this one
I
closely
totally
made number 900. Closely made number 900.
Locked in. This one's locked in at 1,002. This one's locked in at 1,002.
Locked in at 149 is Love Shack. Tin Roof. Anyway, no, I totally respect the funeral thing. Like, it's not just because I want that too, but
it was sadly a beautiful moment. It was a positive experience.
Yeah. I get it. But yeah, that's my number one. Great song. My honorable mentions. One was already said. I Remember You by Skid Row, and that is the significance of the song because I think I mentioned in our opening track episode when I was talking about Aerosmith. I saw Skid Row open for Aerosmith in '90 on the Pump tour, and they stole the show. Like, Aerosmith was fine; they were good, but Tyler came out and did a few hip shakes and swung his silly bandanas or whatever those are on his microphone pole and did his thing. But Sebastian talked to the crowd. They only had that first album. He's Canadian, right? They were so loud, so good. And like Chris said, like this ballad, when you heard it, I was like, oh, what is that? Right? Because you'd heard 18 in Life and Youth and you know what I mean? Like Youth Gone Wild. But yeah.
Joe, you're a fucking genius.
What did he say?
I didn't say anything.
You'll find out when you watch it back.
I can't wait. I've been
a few times. It was last show.
Was it the Canadian content banner that went across the bottom?
Was it? Nice.
Whenever
I totally missed it because my eyes were
probably all over the place. This Canadian public service announcement.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah. Every time we mention a Canadian thing, we put the Canadian band it went across.
Now, honestly, they are. He's Canadian, but the band is American, right? Like, They get a lot of credit
Jersey.
for being Canadian because of him, but they're really an American.
Jersey's still part of America, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my loose honorable mention. My real honorable mention is from '92, and it is "Love Is on the Way" by Saigon Kick. I fucking love that song.
Oh my god, I love Saigon Kick.
I wanted that song to be in my 4, but I couldn't bump anything else. But I fucking love that song. And in fact, my wife would have no clue who that band is, but she would know that song. She'd be like, "Oh, you play this song all the time." I'm like,
Jason
"Yeah, I love this
Beeler
song."
was a fucking badass. That solo, that acoustic cat string guitar solo, and that is,
so good, man, so good, so underrated. People don't know it that should have. It kind of 92, right? It was like them, Mr. Big, and then everything was like you said, lost in the mix because. Oh, you're listening to Pearl Jam or the Chili Peppers, or what are you listening to? Not Saigon Kick, loser.
The biggest issue with Saigon Kick is they couldn't be molded because they had a kind of a grunge feel. They had a kind of a heavier thrash feel, but they threw harmonies and melodies on it. And
the harmonies are so good.
Yeah, Peppermint Tribe was one of their breakout. Yes, we come from the Peppermint Tribe. It was like, yeah. I was a big fan of Saigon Kick. Yeah,
me too. And no one else I knew was listening to them at all. So that's cool.
That pick blew me away. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's it. That's my list, boys. I got a black on the short list, but I don't think they'll be on your list, Jimmy. But we all know them: Queensryche, Twisted Sister, Molly Crew, Firehouse, White Lion, right? So anyway, I don't want to steal any yours, but I have
Dream Theater snare drum, yes.
Yours are going to be, I think, a little more obscure. I'm thinking.
No, not really. Not really. My list is
all Dawkins.
No, well, kind of.
Alone again,
kind of. But no, my list came 100% from musicality, 100% where the music was moving and flowing, and the musicianship. Number 4, a Great White song, "House of Broken Love."
This is a Great White. Wow, this is surprising.
Great White getting some serious representation.
3 different songs.
Yeah, and Joe, it was an original. It was an original. What's kind of funny about this song is it's actually one of their longest songs at just under 6 minutes. 1989, came from Twice Shy. It was released as a single. The B-side of the single was "Bitches and Other Women Live," which is a Stones cover song medley. The song was written because Jack Russell was getting divorced. The guitar player, Mark Kendall, was breaking up with his girlfriend, and they were sitting around and they were sobbing and being fucking, men hurt. And the A&R walked in, he goes, "What is this, the House of Broken Love?" And they wrote a song then and there.
That's so cool.
Yeah, based on an experience or multiple experiences, and is number 31 on the top 200 charts. So I like to reference charts if you haven't noticed. I think it's a beautiful song, and there's 2 different leads or solos in this particular case. Each one's about 45 seconds long, which is extremely long in guitar solos. It's I don't know, it's a beautiful song. I'm not like this crazy Great White fan. I like a lot of their kind of outside of the main chart stuff, but I really love this song. And when I listened to it, I had to rewind it and listen again and again and again, and I listened to it I think 4 times. It's like, yep, this is the song. It's going to be on this list.
That's when you know, right?
So I think it's a moving song.
It's funny you talk about B-sides. I don't know if it was the B-side, but like I said, I had that Twice Shy album. I had the single for Angel Song, but I think I had the single for Once Bitten, Twice Shy first, then the single for Great White or for Angel Song, and that's why I gotta buy the album. I got these two. One of them I can't remember which one, but Wasted Rock Ranger was on the single because I think it was the B-side. If you had the 45. I don't know if you remember that song, like stupid, but
I knew exactly where you were going with that.
Yeah.
So I guess number 3, Joe, you're gonna love this. Was a leftover song from Beast of the East, and it was only released on or not Beast from the East, Back for the Attack. It was the only original song from Beast from the East, a live album from Back for the Attack. It's a beautiful song, and George Lynch went in and didn't want to record the solo that day. They kept saying, "You got to do it. You got to do it." He goes, "I don't know. It's not ready. It's not ready." So he went into the solo pissed, and did it in a one take. We were talking about that in other shows about one take, solos and stuff. And it's actually a beautiful solo. And that recording session ended up being the end of Dokken for several years until 94 when they came back with Dysfunctional. It's a beautiful song. It's fantastic. And for the first time, George Lynch does not play a Kramer or an ESP on that song. He plays a Guild.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And what is? Did you say the song title?
Walk Away.
Walk Away. Okay.
Just walk away. It's
heard it.
You've probably heard it, but it's kind of a lesser known song. It was kind of the end of Dokken at the time, and it's a beautiful song. So I mean, please go back and listen.
Yeah, I will for sure. Joe will not, but
I will not be listening to that.
He was celebrating.
That's fine. I will send you an isolated guitar solo.
I will not be going back to listen to that. No, I will for sure.
All right. So number 2 is a band that opened up for Lynch Mob, and I was sitting at First Avenue. If you're familiar with First Avenue, which Joe you are, you could stand on the edge of the stage about this high, and I was next to the monitor of the singer. And when he hit the high note, you'll hear the song in a second. It exploded every capillary in my nose, and blood ran down my face.
Really?
The song is by Steelheart, I'll Never Let You Go.
I knew you were going to have this one. I knew it.
He hit that high note, and everything in my nose just exploded because I was right next to his monitor, and it was a gross memory.
It's a good cover for hookers and cocaine, but whatever.
I'll tell you what, I love Steelheart and Mike Matejevic. I probably say his name wrong. One of the greatest fucking hair metal glam rock singers that's ever lived. If you've ever seen the movie Rockstar with Marky Mark,
it's only Marky Mark.
He's the singer. Yeah, he's the singer of the recorded singer of that band, which is Jason Bonham's the drummer, Jeff Pilsen from Foreigner, and Dokken, and Zach Wilde. They're the actual live recording band of that movie. Just Steelheart was just amazing. John Fowler was so creative with the drums he did for Steelheart that he was not your quintessential glam rock drummer. He had some really cool groovy shit going on that was kind of behind the scenes of glam.
That's cool.
All right, I'll move on. So number 1, I'm going to get a lot of shit from.
I was going to say,
I'm gonna get a lot of shit
I
for
can't
it.
stand Marky Mark, but I love the movie Rockstar. And they did a great job with not only production value, but also the songwriting and everything else in that movie.
All right. Number 1. Headed for a Heartbreak. If you guys do not know who Reb Beach is, you guys need to go and do a Winger deep dive and just ignore Kip Winger. Yeah, exactly. Reb Beach model right there in the back wall there with the gold plate. My God, this band got so much shit. Beavis and Butthead basically killed them. I seen them live.
Not basically, flat out killed them that day. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw them the first time I saw them, they were, brand new, She's Only 17 was the big song. Creepy song as fuck. Yeah. But they opened up for the Scorpions and they got laughed off stage because on that first album they have a cover of Purple Haze and it's fucking brutal. It's horrible.
That's really ballsy to even consider it, right?
You don't fuck with it. You just don't.
Yeah, some things you just don't like. Yeah, it's cool to want to do it, but don't do it in public. It's like masturbation. Like,
yeah. I ended up seeing him a second time at a smaller venue, which was the Mirage, and another Minneapolis club, and it was off of the Pull tour, and fucking amazing, just incredible. But Headed for Heartbreak, the Kip Winger. I mean, I'm sorry, Kip, but he was just too much for that band. The musicianship of that band, Rod Morgenstein from the Dixie Dregs, which is a jazz band, fucking incredible. You could, being a drummer, you could actually go in and see, oh my God, he's playing 7/8 over a 4/4. He's playing 3/4 time over this basic bullshit. And then Reb Beach having 2 minute-and-a-half long solos in the song. The outro's 2.5 minutes long. Just fucking incredible. It's beautiful. And the solos are moving. I could go on so much more about the song, but it's probably the coolest power ballad that's ever happened.
Nice. I'm gonna have to revisit it.
Definitely one of the better solos out there.
Yeah,
one of my favorite solos of the time.
Which one or two?
Yeah, well, I mean, both of them, really, because they carry the song. They really do. I mean, besides the entire song and the melody of the vocals and everything else, but that entire song is a perfect song in its form.
Yeah. And I mean, any drummers out there that happen to be listening, if you get a chance, listen to Rod Morgenstein anytime you can, or Stein. I'm sorry, forgive me. Just fucking incredible.
Stein.
Right? Just what he does with that limited space of the genre is fucking incredible, and it's really actually mind-blowing if you can get past the Kip Winger aspect of it. Kip Winger's bass playing is kind of known for being crappy. It's so crappy that the keyboards kind of cover up the bass lines. But the guitars and the drums are just actually worth the album. And the second album is kind of a waste. The third album, Pull, when they got away from the major labels, Pull is a fucking beautiful album.
I will say this: I was never a Kip Winger fan, especially with Winger. But Kip Winger's solo stuff, man, like his jazz fusion stuff and orchestral stuff that he has, is pretty fucking incredible, man. Where's the song? I'm trying to think. We're looking right now. The album that he has, I just absolutely love. It's Songs from the Ocean Floor. Very, very good, man. And it sounds. If someone told you this is Kip Winger, you'd be like, "Who? This is not Kip." Beyond anything what they were doing with Winger. Like there was actual criticism, like you said, with his bass playing and stuff like that. But dude, this stuff is Like I remember him talking about, he was at a low and he was actually taking orchestral lessons and like what do you call it, like writing lessons as well from some guy at some university, but he talked about how he just like, I'm trying to finally just write the album I've always wanted to write, and it was orchestral, and that led to a play, and that play led to another, just him deciding he's going to do what he's going to do. But I mean, he was meant to do what he's doing now, not back then. So I like to see a guy, even though I wasn't a big fan, kind of be reborn into what he wanted to do in the first place.
Was it PCU?
Well, the irony of the irony of Kip Winger is he was supposed to be this musical genius.
Yeah.
And to the point of
and then he sucks. That kind of flies in the face of that, right? Oh, by the way, I'm garbage.
Right.
By the way, I'm shit.
Right. He was actually a music theory professor at the University of New Mexico for like 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, he's got the chops apparently. Just we couldn't hear it over boo 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 keyboard. So, but he was.
No, I accidentally pushed play on that album. Hopefully, YouTube doesn't hear it.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, I
couldn't hear it either.
I'm gonna say there's only two musical geniuses.
Well,
We all know that. It's Stevie Wonder and Prince. Everyone else is lesser.
Right. So I mean,
or maybe,
I guess
maybe it's Winger and then Stevie Wonder and Prince. I don't know.
Right.
It was Tom Kiefer.
Kip Winger influenced the Beatles apparently. So. Right. Canadian, put the banner down there.
Sebastian Bach and Burton Cummings.
Oh, Canada.
We gotta stand up.
I don't have any pants.
We're talking
about
we don't want Dink standing up. He never wears pants. So
you don't want to see his Dink.
I like
to see Dink's Dink. No, I
like to be.
We don't want to see Dink's Dink.
Saggy.
Teddy Whitey's.
Well, I think we covered everything we needed to do. Is there anything you guys are missing outside of?
No, that was good, man. That was a lot of like solid power ballads, solid ass grabbers. I like to call them ass grabbers because
I like to call them
dances and stuff.
Cheese.
Yeah. But some really, really good tunes, right? And some stuff that I need to revisit
And surprising, the number one artist picked was Great White. I didn't see that.
I was just going to say that.
I thought I was a little like rare with the Angel songs, so I didn't expect there to be three of theirs.
3 different songs. That's got to be new. That's
the
first,
original song.
All originals, yes.
Right.
I mean, we
might have set a record tonight.
But we haven't had one band with 3 different songs, have we? I mean, not band.
I think so. Well,
outside of your 1971 list.
All those Zeppelin 4. You haven't seen it or watched it, go back.
Yeah, go back. Right. As per my last email.
By the way, spoiler warning.
Spoiler. Right. Get out your Zeppelin.
Right.
No, another great show, guys.
I know that not everyone felt as confidently as I did on this one. This is one that I actually felt really comfortable with when I listed out like 50 songs. I'm like, I already know my 5, and I felt confident about. So
yeah, I think this was more like I was probably Joe and I were semi. This is in your wheelhouse, and Chris's maybe this was. Like as you mentioned, not necessarily.
Sometimes it's great to get out of your comfort zone,
or just remember. Oh shit, I did like this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. That's what I ran into.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at future shows without spoiling anything, there's at least several of the shows in stone that some of us are like really excited for. Some of us are like, I could find 5 songs. I mean, it's going to happen.
I don't know how we're going to carry Gary Glitter for a whole entire hour, but
right. Right. Yeah, and then there's a new topic, right? Uncomfortable artists. Artists we shouldn't be doing.
Yes, artists no one should talk about anymore.
Artists we can't even tag online.
Right. Right. I mean, what can you say to that? But go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
No, honestly, hey guys, thank you so much for this. It's always fucking fun as shit. I want you guys, the viewers, listeners, to go to justrankedpod.com. You can see all of our socials there. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. You can see our ugly mugs or my handsome face if you want to. Anywhere you get your podcasts, we're available. I really, really would like you to like and subscribe and ignore Joe when you can, please. If there's an ignore Joe button, hit it because it also equals to a like. So,
right. Yeah, if you're music lovers and you know your friends are, like, yeah, for sure. Like, we are. That's why we do this, right? Like,
well, for those of you not lucky enough to be watching, you should be watching on YouTube, but there's a nice little banner that rolls anytime there's a Canadian artist mentioned.
Right.
Or reference of any sort.
Yes. Well, thank you and love you all. Please keep coming back. And, guys,
go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.